Hello and welcome back. If this is your first time on the channel, I am streaming this live to Twitch under the username WillCole and recording it locally for upload to YouTube under the username WillCole100. This is not the first time we've played Victoria 3 on the channel. This is the first time we're going to be playing it on patch 1.12.4. The last run I think was on the beta for patch 1.12.3. So let's get into the game here. Last time I think we were also playing India. I think I'm going to delay on playing India again, and we're going to go in and play the Qing, also known as the Chinese. And as far as game settings, we're basically going to run it on normal game settings, not Iron Man. Although, in Victoria 3, you can have achievements active when Iron Man's turned off. Yeah, we're going to be playing the Great Qing. I think we're also going to do the same sort of cheese we did the last time, where we delay the Opium War with Great Britain, potentially trying to delay the Opium War indefinitely. Let's see if we can actually succeed in doing it indefinitely this time. And there we are, loaded in. So interestingly enough, at least on this patch, we do start with a bureaucracy shortfall. Tech-wise, actually before I decide what tech, what do I need to do to get off of traditionalism? Interventionalism would be nice, but we need to get off of serfdom. Agrarianism, we need romanticism. That's probably actually what we're going to end up doing. It's probably going to run for romanticism. Let's say a fair needs us off of serfdom as well. Okay. That's one location. We start on guild system, which has been changed to put... No, that one is not the one I'm thinking of that's been changed. It's serfdom's been changed. So serfdom has minimum subsistence land share in incorporated states and protected subsistence employment in incorporated states. So in our core territory, we can't just de-peasant the peasants by building all the farms. Although we've got rice subsistence farms in the Qing, so we wouldn't want to do that anyway, so that's fine. We start with no police. We may want to change that. I think that probably is what we're going to actually start off by changing. For school, we would like to go to public school. We haven't invented empiricism. Healthcare, at some point we're going to want to go public, although as you can see, no one actually supports that currently, except for the trade unions. And we have to have pharmaceuticals for that. Okay, so thinking about what techs I need to be picking up here at the start of this run. So I think taking romanticism so we can swing off of agrarianism early on is probably the plan. You can see that people do support moving to agrarianism. The Qing is special in that their landowners do not care about the economic system. They do care about the land reform system, so they're going to still prefer serfdom. I think we're going to still do the old sort of style swap of trying to very rapidly get off of serfdom by swapping to homesteading, ideally. The way to do that is when the peasants spawn in, we're probably going to empower the peasants and suppress the absolutism movement. So that's the opening moves here that we're going to be doing. So actually, we can do one of those right now. So the absolutism movement, we want suppressed. Honestly, only because we don't want the current... Oh, and that also cares about the economic system, but that's easy enough to overrule. Because it's trying to keep us a serfdom, and we ideally probably want to go to homesteading. So it's going to resist us doing that swamp, so we weaken these guys early on. And then we may appease them sort of elsewhere in the future. In fact, in the future, we're going to move at some point to commercialized agriculture. So actually getting to homesteading and then bouncing back to commercialized is probably the long-term plan. So tech-wise, we're going to go into society. We are going to do romanticism. Probably into stock exchange for the mappy over there. market access impact into empiricism, because I would like that public school, while we can still use outside forces to encourage changing laws, because we've got no one that actually opposes schooling. That's what we were saying. So we only need the tech to do it. Yeah, basically no support for, no support against. So it'll be really easy to push public. Oh no, that's healthcare. Even on the case in the healthcare. Schooling, we can actually say basically no opposition, no support for. So if we can get the law to do the swap, it shouldn't be that hard to do. Initial taxes, we're going to be on neutral. There is maybe an argument to amp the government wages right here at the beginning. So we figured out what our law is going to, or our tech's going to be, and that's preparing us for laws. For laws, I think we want to swing on to a police law. Although there's maybe an argument we don't. Actually, there's... I can see the argument for not. If we're not... Oh, and I think they changed how... No, they didn't change. So, max law enforcement institution investment. So, dedicated and militarized have 2 more levels than local police force. And that's the reason usually you want to avoid local police force. The other one is because it empowers the scholar officials, empowers the landowners. In our case, we're not wanting to throttle our landowners too early. Normally, you're really opposed to them because they support being on traditionalism, agrarianism. They're really opposed to moving into more industrial ones. Great Qing scholar officials do not have that problem. The only problem we're going to really run into with them early is right off the bat they're opposed to getting off of serfdom. Although they're technically neutral to commercialized agriculture, so what we're going to try to do is we're going to try to do sort of the extreme shift, serfdom to homesteading, and then later on we'll use the fact that they don't like homesteading to move back to commercialized agriculture. Yeah, we can see they don't like that we're on no policing. We probably want to move to either dedicated or local. Militarized is too far late in the game that we're just not going to bother with that. So the question is, do I do dedicated right now? Or are there other laws I want to change that I can use the transition on? We need colonialism to do those too. Okay, so not now for those. We're on guild system. I'm not feeling the immediate need to get off of guild system. Plus, everyone wants us to stay on it. It's kind of what's happening here. Scholar officials rule for PGOZ. So the major elements of the government here are going to oppose us on that. Not going to futz with legal guardianship. Yeah, if we're making... It looks like if I'm making a law change right now here at the beginning of the run, it's probably to sweep to dedicated police forcing. So I think we'll actually postpone that decision right away. But I do need to make decision-wise, because we're going to try to bypass the Opium Crisis. So I need to get the British to accept investment rights. Like so. Investment rights for investment rights. So we can invest in them, they can invest in us. I think that will actually work well for us. Yeah, let's sign that as our initial one. I'm actually going to set the binding period to 10 years. That'll make sense later. The goal is that we're hopefully going to be bypassing the Opium Crisis in that one time. Okay. And then construction. So on neutral taxation here, we got 120 1,000 income. Before we're even doing consumption taxes, what do we actually have to decrease? Road maintenance, wild suppression, we can't do because you need turmoil above a certain level. Okay. So we're probably going to basically be doing road maintenance most places, I think. I think we're going to be walking the road maintenance, so we're going to want to keep at 200 authority. Road maintenance walking. We're going to want to keep another 200 for bolstering the peasant movement. So that means we can spend about 500 on taxes. Right now I'm going to be focusing mostly on effect per authority because we need a lot to raise our construction. So grain isn't particularly good because it's about 300 per 100, or 3k per 100. We get better on tea, for example. We'll do tea. Tea's not a bad choice. It's about 4.5. That's 5. That makes sense. Let's do sir. Okay. That's about the right amount for the consumption taxes for the month. So that's given us more income that we're going to reinvest initially in capacity to build more, basically. Right now, I don't think we have any unemployed, or am I wrong? And we do. We do. In fact, this is maybe a sign of something that should get changed in China in the long run. If I were to modify the country, don't start them with unemployed, please. But they start with unemployed, so we should try to work this down. We're going to stay on wood and fabric for the beginning here. It's a little bit more efficient for private investment if you're on the higher PMs, because less of the cost of construction is paid by the worker, or paid in wages to workers and more in materials. But early on here, we're going to be focusing on trying to get it up real fast. So let's do... And also on wood, it's about 5 to 10k, so that's 10,000, 20,000, 30,000, 40,000, 50,000, 60, 70, 80, 90, 100. And we'll come back and put the top there. Okay, so a bunch of construction to start, and then we're going to be working probably on government capacity. In fact, we'll probably start working on government capacity pretty quickly. We've already got an ongoing agreement with the Portuguese that we'll honor for the moment. This one we're just going to kind of ignore whether or not that stays stable or not. Don't care too much about you. Okay, let's unpause and see if the British accept our treaty. They do. So, with this treaty invested, this should postpone the opium trade. No, not the opium trade. Oh, and it's probably not going to pop up because we are blocking it. The Opium Crisis can't trigger if it would automatically fail. So, we can't lose the Opium War if we haven't fought the Opium War, and we can't fight the Opium War if we would auto-lose the Opium War. And if you have investment rights with the UK, or you've given the UK a center of what's this referred to? A treaty port day one, then the Opium Crisis won't start. That's basically what we're taking advantage of here. So let's let some time pass, let those construction sectors build. While we wait for the peasant movement to actually start up. That's not the peasant movement. And or for Romanticism to be researched. If we can get the swap off of serfdom early enough, I'll actually swap to... what's it called? I'll swap to interventionalism instead of agrarianism. But we want to get off of traditionalism as quickly as possible. So where do I have my interests? Got 2, Indochina and Japan. Okay. We'll be wanting to move those later. But for the moment, that's fine. Okay, there's the peasant movement. So we want to bolster the peasant movement. Oh, and I've been... should have been paying attention. So, Shandong, Southern, Yulin, Shandong, Shandong. So what that's given us is a construction efficiency modifier. Basically makes the things, or makes our construction go 10% farther in those states, for our purposes. So if I'm sort of metagaming, we should be sort of walking those 2 road maintenance decrees around. Eventually I'm just going to give up because it ends up being a bit too much micro. Okay, the Shandong is done, and we're now on to Eastern High Bay. Okay, can I form a stable government with the rural folk? Yes. So we're going to do that. The rural folk will support moving to homesteading. And we're getting a buff to... or should get a buff to the success chance from the peasant movement, because the peasant movement is also supporting moving to homesteading. The other thing I'm going to do to try to boost the probability that we do is now we're going to do our first declared interest move. And move it from Japan to the United States. I'm going to wait until that kicks in. The United States should be willing to be lobbied via agreement into supporting our movement to homesteading. Playing our cards right. So what we'd like to do is we'd like to get a law commitment from serfdom to homesteading. So they have a base article of electance. However, they like homesteading, so it's only a minus 25. So we just need to pay them enough to get over that hump. Yeah, it may not be as easy as I'm first thinking. Why is their diplomatic stance so negative? They're belligerent. Why? Because they want to conquer my stuff. Because of course they want to conquer my stuff, because the AI can't be friendly at all. Okay. Let's start improving relations with America then. Same thing with the British. We'll improve relations with the British. I know I can do this by myself, but we need to do it by ourselves, so it's just a moment of generating enough power. Did I already complete the entire construction queue? Interesting. I was not expecting that. And the private queue is able to use it all, although not indefinitely. Okay, so I need to go Put more stuff in the queue. We're gonna need more government, so let's start getting the government up as well. No, they definitely made this a lot harder. America obviously is not the only one we can go to for this, just... Apparently they'd be grumpy. Because they just randomly want your stuff. So of course they do. Can't make it easy, however, can they? And then what? We're looking at like 7K here. Okay, so for practical purposes, the biggest we're getting is plus 50 from pure money. Is there anything else they actually want besides, say, a treaty port? Could bribe in the treaty port. I'm not that desperate for that. Yeah, no, we're definitely looking at a state where I need to get them up to next tier at least. Sure, I'll rival the... Japanese. Petition to approach the government. Petition considered. Peasant movement gets political activism attraction and activism reduction. Yeah. Great debate. Okay, I'm going to attempt off of the sweep on that just to take the swing to homesteading. And I'm out of construction projects again because I haven't been monitoring my own construction enough. Okay. We're gonna need more government admin, so I'm gonna pre-build a bunch of admin. And then apparently this stuff builds real fast these days. Which is good. Our big problem is that or the long-term big problem is that we're not actually gonna have enough construction to keep the unemployment down. Oh, we're getting more approval, or more authority from something. It's kicked in as giving us a better multiplier. Okay. I can probably just put more road taxes out, so I have to micro it less. It's Beijing, Henan, Eastern. Okay. And we'll do a quick tax as well for the last bit. Luxury furniture. Mistreatment of serfs. There we go. Get a bunch of success chance there. Playwright endorses it, so extra success chance. So the fact that I can't get America on board apparently is not going to be an issue because we're just going to do it the normal way. Play for power! Sure, we can have the armed forces be a little more powerful. That'll be helpful for some of the other law changes we're going to want to do. And yeah, we're going to continue expanding our government admin. Testing inspiration. Yeah, we can intelligentsia. The intelligentsia are also a little bit interesting for the Great Qing in that they lose a lot of their useful traits. State redemption payments is added to homesteading. It's these opposing homesteading. Or we can take a malice and a speed and just take it to the next phase. What's state redemption payments? Income tax reduction. No. Serfs must pay it. Standard of living for aristocrats, standard of living down for the peasants. I'm going to just eat this last one. We can accept a little bit of radicalism amongst the ownership class. And I don't want that amendment on the law there. Didn't want either of the amendments. Discord. Yeah, we'll weaken the literati even more for better likelihood of passing homesteading. That works for me. Okay. So decrees. I'm going to keep it there. And I'm going to want to move it to the next place, which is there. Okay. And yeah, I'm probably good with just the 2, as long as I'm doing big enough build orders. I'll add luxury clothing to the list. Taxes. Nope. I don't have enough government construction in the queue anymore. I suppose once we get off of traditionalism, the government ownership of the queue goes from 75% to 50-50. And we'll be able to do that as soon as we get homesteading out of the way. So, our good RNG and homesteading here has made it reasonably easy. I don't always get this good of RNG. So we probably want to move over to paper next. Yeah, paper's pretty inflated. We don't have sulfur production yet. Probably isn't worth doing sulfur. Oh, and... no, I'd be wanting to do investments. We haven't discovered yet. Okay. So yeah, paper. We need to build paper. 400 paper each. Got a deficit of about 900. So let's go ahead and just build 200... not 200. 20 paper mills in one place. 20 there. That would be, of course, what we want. Where are you? There. I want a road edict to be. Multiple of the things that we're going to be trying to do really quick here are all going to reduce our admin. So keeping admin cheap by keeping paper cheap is what we're trying to do here early on. So we've moved off of homesteading. I think prior to that succeeding, we had an income bonus that went away, which is why our income dropped. It's fine. It's not unsustainably down at the moment. Yeah, now on homesteading. Oh, it's probably also that a lot more of the farms became worker-owned. So now, issue banned interventionalism. All we need is a success chance above 0 to move on to interventionalism, which we can get by the magic of trading. So kick rural folk out of government to get a righteous government back. I think we technically had a righteous government in the government as well. We can stop bolstering you and stop suppressing you, getting us more authority. We're gonna go ask little GB to be the intercessor here. I want a law commitment. You're, I think, already on interventionalism. Yes, they're already on interventionalism, so they like that. Now I just need to find something that they're willing to be happy to take as a trade for that. And 750. Maybe? 77% chance? We'll roll that. Let's see if they accept. They did accept. Okay. So now we've got support for interventionalism. So instead of doing the swing into agrarianism, we're instead going to do a hard swing into interventionalism. So we're going to skip over agrarianism. Which in theory means I don't need romanticism, so we're actually going to skip that in our queue. Jump to stock exchange, then empiricism. Now, we were doing romanticism before because the other swap we would have done had this not worked out would have been into romanticism because that's how badly we went off traditionalism. We didn't really care what we were getting it off of it with, just whatever we could do first. We didn't need to do the serfdom change until I think. Okay, well, if you hate me that much, you're just going to kick my diplomats out and stop me from trying to improve relations. We're just going to pull the declared interest out. Take that down later, and it's just away. Let's put one in North Germany. And then start trying to improve relations with the Prussians, so the Prussians are a decent alternative. Right now I'm floating the extra authority here because it is accelerating interventionalism swing here. That combined with being in righteous government. could technically reduce some of the taxes a bit more and get a bit more, but I think we'll be fine as is. Okay, what do I want to build after that? Paper. It might be more paper, honestly. Oh, actually, we've got an iron shortage. Both iron and coal shortage. Don't want to perfectly fix those, but we can put a little bit of iron and coal in. Like 4 and 1. Beijing, okay. There we go. And I think for those buildings, we'll also go ahead and subsidize them so they don't play higher up to full. Okay, one more success in interventionalism. It'll be off of traditionalism. Okay, put something else in the queue. Still a little bit early to see if we made enough paper. The fact that the paper price really hasn't come down is probably a sign that we haven't. Okay, I don't support that game. Buildings! Not development. Urban. Subsidize the paper mills, please. No, I still need to put something in the queue. Wood. We need more wood. Like, what is the price of hardwood? Yeah, we need more wood. There's interventionalism. So now the private construction allocation is 50% instead of 75%. And most importantly, all the really bad things associated with traditionalism. The mapping malice, the taxation capacity malice, the nationalization compensation. Well, the nationalization compensation, I think it's the same, but most of the really bad stuff is gone. Much improved. Ooh, the rural folk, okay. The rural folk aren't in government, so they're going to be easy to ignore. So let's see. Russia, draft treaty. It's time for you to give me a law commitment. A little bit tempted getting off of isolationism. You take me to mercantilism. Trade advantages for exports, malice for imports. Could do that. Although Canton system right now is giving us a taxation capacity bonus, so it would be losing a bonus to be approved for something else. I think we still want to do that. If for no other reason than in preparation for trying... Yeah, let's... Question is, do I want mercantilism or do I want... the other one, do I want protectionism? Well, I don't have stock exchange. So I really should wait until I have stock exchange. We're working towards that. Okay. Wait a moment there. Because, yeah, I think we ideally probably want protectionism. And to do protectionism, we need a particular law. There. We need a particular tech. We need another tech also for schools. Those are the two things we want to get done before we become recognized. And we should be able to become recognized fairly quickly as the Great Qing here. How does the iron market / coal market look? Coal hasn't been fixed, but the coal hasn't been built. Iron still pretty aggressive, but I don't want to be too overcorrecting there. Oh, we also have subjects. Our subjects are using iron. That's what's going on. Tributary. Let's convert one of these tributaries to a vassal. Yeah, definitely use more wood. And we'll probably be wanting more paper in the future as well, but wood first is the way we're going. Jiangxi. Decree. Move the Beijing one to Jiangxi. And I could use that authority for taxes. And we can see most of the paper is being used by the government and not by the civilian sector because the paper tax is terrible. Which is, I suppose, fair enough. Do a close tax. Generate decent revenue. Monument to the Emperor. And again, when it comes to radicals, really we're caring about the ratio of radicals to total population. We want to keep radicals like under 25% of the population, so keep it under 100 million radicals is not the biggest of presumptions. Nope. We're going to want some more government admin. Let's put that next in the queue. Oh, here's shortage of tools. I shouldn't be making tools, apparently. Yeah, that wouldn't be the worst of plans. What is our tool manufacturing currently on? Wrought iron tools. Okay, yeah, so we should build more tools. So there's a stock exchange. So now we can move to protectionism. Let's see if the Prussians will support that. No, they're still on board with mercantilism. We may do mercantilism if that's all we can do. paper protectionism off of the British. There we go. So now we got ability to swap to protectionism. Again, no one's really in opposition to this, so we should be able to swing into it real quickly. Okay. So empiricism... Oh, I think empiricism is what was spreading to us, so that's why it popped so quickly. Next tech after this is going to be colonialism. So we're going to try to get public schooling as our next law pass. In the meantime, I do want some universities. We'd like to be having enough tech spread that we can rapidly catch up with the people that are ahead of us, tech-wise. Probably not going to invest that heavily in universities to start with, but we are going to start trying to do that. Don't actually really care where the universities are, per se. Just probably want them stacked, and we can use them to fight unemployment a bit. So we'll do 20 there. Like so. To be fair, moving off of the canton system is going to raise, or is going to lower our taxes. So I should be prepared for the taxes to go down. So we don't want to overcorrect too much. I'm finally getting streamer's luck today, because it's just been real easy to deal with the RNG on these events. And there's protectionism. Long before I expected to have protectionism. What's the next? Oh yeah, public schooling. So the only thing stopping us from public schooling is no one supports it. Of course, no one opposes it. So if we can find a foreign sponsor for a public school system, we'll have this lickety-split. Law commitment. Schools. Public school. Here we go. Stargard agreement. Ah, yes. We agree to have public schools. In exchange, you get to invest in our economy. Mandatory service. And we are going to reduce one of our other taxes. In fact, we might reduce even another tax in a bit. I'm not going to worry about tools too much. That's going to cost quite a bit of administrative capacity. Yeah. So, government admin is what we're going to be building next. And if you're wondering why I'm building government admin up to 20, that's because it's our economy of scale modifier until we pick up mechanized workshop down here. And more importantly, shift work. With the... Or am I screwing up and it's 30? It might be 30. It's the easiest way to check. Do we have any buildings at level 30? This is China, so I wouldn't be surprised if I do. Or 21 would do it. It's an awkward thing to check now that I want to check it. But yeah, I'm building up to an arbitrary number just because I think that's the economy scale cap. Actually, can I see that on any building? Current national cap is 20. Yeah, okay. Picking the right number. Remembering the right number. Russian education. Armed force political strength, simulation, conscription battalions. Cost of enactment time. Where did the stall chance come from? Fusion traditionalist movement, okay. Take the penalty to armed forces and just make it faster. But yeah, if I get enough innovation, the surplus goes into spread, and if we get enough spread, I can focus on something that's particularly useful to the nation, while we just have everything that the rest of the world knows spread to us. Twitch chat, Team RMB is saying, sorry, what does the economy scale do, and thus what would the modifier actually add? The economy scale bonus, and the reason I am building up to 20 is for every building level that you have in a given location, you get +1 to your throughput bonus from economy of scale. So many buildings become more efficient the larger they get. Such buildings gain +1 throughput per building level. The tooltip's a little bit outdated. It's not beyond the first. It now includes the first. But so 20 levels of building will make all 20 buildings of that type produce 20% more stuff at the cost of 20% more inputs. Notably not 20% more workers, but 20% more stuff. So leveling up to an arbitrary 20 is maximizing the economy of scale bonus in any given location. If I were to build the 21st building, the economy of scale right now, because our cap on that is 20, 21st building would not increase the economy of scale, it would just benefit from it. So right now, at least in the case of the government buildings, I'm trying to maximize the effect that we have applying to every building in the country before simply just stacking extra. No, we may actually fail public school because the Confucian movement here popped out of nowhere and decided to be opposition to it. No, the political party is opposed. It's kind of the problem I'm running into right now. There we go. So either it's going to fail, or we're going to get a setback. Don't know if how the setback works with... Okay, so the we still get the law commitment from the international negotiation. Okay. Okay, this is... RNG has decided I'm not having streamers luck in public schools here. Okay, I'm gonna ignore government admin. So, food shut down, right? Yeah. Okay, it's time for the next batch. Government admin Sichuan. There's colonization. So, colonization shortly. It doesn't appear in the potentials here for whatever reason. It should start the journal entry for what's it called? For becoming recognized. Just right direction. Okay, we don't need either of those right now. I think for the moment we're good over here. Yeah, we're not gonna run down to charity hospitals. Okay. So I need to get at railroads. Railroads is the next target. Let's try to do the atmospheric lathe swing. So we know this is spreading to us, and this has to spread to us, because it's the only one in the forest area that we don't have. The cost here on atmospheric engines is... Actually, let me click on something else so we can see it. Tooltip changes when it's clicked on versus when it's not. Is getting 2,500 more extra costs because we haven't researched one tech from Area 1. However, that is to the cost to complete. So if we stop this just before we hit 10,000 and then lathe completes, then we can complete it for 10,000 but invest in it ahead of time. This is one of the ways you can sort of somewhat accelerate going to railways. Because if you sort of do lathe first, you have no guarantee it's going to do atmospheric engines and mechanical tools next. It could go off to intensive agriculture or something. There's our new recognition. So, to become recognized, we want to have more things advancing us than retreating us, get up to 200 progress while having one great power, have relations of 50 or greater with us. We can advance one off by enforcing a war goal on a major power. Earlier patches, that'd be the way to go. Having a gross domestic product in the top 10. Or GDP in the top 10. I think we already are. Yeah, we're first, so that shouldn't be too hard to do. GDP per capita in the top 20? Unlikely, because we're so big. 236, yeah. Standard of living in the top 20, again, pretty unlikely because we're so big. Standard of living is 136. Literacy above 40, that's one reason I'm trying to get education going. Although, we're going to see the real reason, which isn't getting it above 40, but is one of the retreat things. Having voting rights, which we actually want to avoid for other reasons. Getting offer of embassy articles active is probably going to be the big push to very rapidly complete this. Although we do need to overcome the things that are stopping us. So we don't want warlords to force against us. We have our GDP in the first, so it's not below the top 30. If we get our literacy to 20 or above, so all we need is one level of public education to do that. That removes a negative. We don't have slavery. We don't have serfdom. We don't have traditionalism. We don't have isolationism. We don't have outlawed dissent. So we've cleared 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and 6 of the possible ongoing negatives. There's only one ongoing negative, which is the literacy below 20% that we can get rid of. So right now, we have a literacy below 20%. We have GDP in the top 10. So we got a +1 and a -1. Those are canceling out. We're going to want to get those such that this completes. Although we'd like to get public schools first, because public schools is one of the things that's going to be easier to get. Right now, one, we can get a foreign law commitment to help us get it, rather than later. Partially because the literati, as the Qing, are realistically opposed to the landowners, and don't actually care about education. It's one of the interesting things about here. You get the benefit that the scholar officials don't care about law or economic law, but you get the drawback that the literati don't care about education. It's usually not the case. A little bit more government admin. I shouldn't have let the construction queue get completely empty. Okay, move to consideration, that's good. Got enough admin that we're not going to have any taxation issues when that passes. That's good to see. Next thing we want to build, probably more paper. Yeah, more paper. Like 20 levels of paper. So we've arguably got better odds here of it succeeding than failing, although nothing is guaranteed in RNG. Although the RNG here definitely decided to make this a nail biter. Alright, I'm just waiting for the public schools here before I put the part break in. What do you want, Sweden? I give you trade privileges. I get trade privileges and investment rights in exchange. No. Ooh, the RNG is trying to make it a nail biter today. Well, 10% chance of success, 14% chance we get a setback. Everything else in between. And there it is, it's dead. It done died. Okay, well that was not what I wanted. No, they've only got a 2% still chance. I'm not going to worry about that for the moment. Yeah, we have to wait. We're contravening this because we can't do the law commitment. We can't do the law commitment because the law commitment failed. It's annoying, but it is what it is. Before I let this part go on too long, we're already up over an hour. If you're watching on YouTube, there will be another part up tomorrow where we seek to get recognition here. If we can get recognition completed before the UK breaks the declaration of Lawfeng here, which in the mutual investment rights, we can skip the Opium Crisis, is what we're trying to do. Yep, that's basically the plan. Of course, we can't do any more law commitments until we complete the public school one. We'll see if we can do that. Oh, I suppose, actually, I cleared these ones as well. Well, that one's 6 months, but yeah. If you're watching on YouTube, there will be a part up tomorrow before I get distracted a bit more. If you're watching on Twitch, feel free to hang around. I can take a short break to get up, stretch the legs, sip some tea, and then we'll be back to record the next part. So until the next part, I wish you all the best of luck, a good time. Catch you all in the next part, and bye for now.